Did Abraham save his son's life, Ishmael, without even knowing it? Hello and welcome to No Crown in Heaven for Bible Knowledge, studying Genesis verse by verse. We are in chapter 21, and today I will continue for the event Hagar and Ishmael in the wilderness, and the event after that between the covenant between Abimelech, king of Gerar, and Abraham, and the connection between these two events. Before I start this episode, I want to do a disclaimer that I am sharing my personal Bible study. I'm not teaching, I'm not claiming to be a Bible scholar, and most importantly, I am not claiming any special revelations, because today my observation of this passage is going to have a lot of speculations, or a specific speculation that it's my personal way of looking at this passage, and I'm going to share that with you. And if you think it's wrong, please let me know. But I'm from the start saying this is a speculation, but there is a strong meaning behind it. So I'm going to read the whole passage, and we're going to go over the two events and look at it. Also, I want to mention that I read 4 different commentaries on that passage. John MacArthur, Chuck Smith, David Guzik, and Matthew Henry. And none of them said anything about what I am going to share. So obviously, that's why I'm saying I don't claim any special revelation. This is my personal view of the passage. Even if I am wrong, then I'm not claiming any new doctrine or any new teaching. It's just a devotional view of the passage. So with this disclaimer said, let's read the passage and go for the study. So we stopped at verse 20, Genesis 21, verse 14. So I'm going to read verse 14 again, and then I'm going to read the whole thing until the end of the chapter, and we'll break it down. So Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water and put it on her shoulder. He gave it and the boy to Hagar and sent her away. Then she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. And the water in the skin was used up, and she placed the boy under one of the shrubs. Then she went and sat down across from him at a distance of about a bow shot. For she said to herself, "Let me not see the death of the boy." So she sat opposite him and lifted her voice and wept. And God heard the voice of the lad. Then the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven and said to her, "What ails you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad, and hold him with your hand, for I will make him a great nation." Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the skin with water and gave the lad a drink. So God was with the lad, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became an archer. He dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt. And it came to pass at that time that Abimelech and Phishol, the commander of his army, spoke to Abraham, saying, God is with you in all that you do. Now therefore swear to me by God that you will not deal falsely with me, with my offspring, or with my posterity, but that according to the kindness that I have done to you, you will do to me and to the land in which you have dwelt. And Abraham said, I will swear. Then Abraham rebuked Abimelech because of a well of water which Abimelech's servants had seized. And Abimelech said, I do not know who has done this thing. You did not tell me, nor had I heard of it until today. So Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them to Abimelech, and the two of them made a covenant. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. Then Abimelech asked Abraham, what is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs which you have set by themselves? And he said, you will take these 7 ewe lambs from my hand, that they may be my witness that I have dug this well. Therefore he called that place Beersheba, because the two of them swore an oath there. Thus they made a covenant at Beersheba. So Abimelech rose with Phishol, the commander of his army, and they returned to the land of the Philistines. Then Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there called on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. And Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines many days. So there is 2 events happening in this passage. The event of Hagar running out of water, placing her son Ishmael under a shrub, and she goes a distance, and she obviously sobbing, crying. She doesn't want to see the death of her son, and the voice of God come from heaven. It says the angel of God, but in the speech it says I. So it means that God actually himself is speaking. I'm going to go to verse 18. Arise, lift up the lad, and hold him with your hand, for I will make him a great nation. So that means God is the one who's speaking. So that's Jesus speaking to her, the angel of God. So Jesus here is not appearing in a physical form, but he is speaking from heaven in an audible voice. So that is this event. Now I want to go to the event between Abraham and Abimelech. So obviously Abimelech see God is blessing Abraham. He's expanding. He has livestock. He has servants. He has slaves. He has army, because we remember when Lot was taken, he had his trained soldiers who went and rescued Lot. So Abimelech come to him and say, swear to me that you're not gonna turn against me. And Abraham swears to them. They make a covenant, meaning they got animals, they cut the animals in half in the long way, put them on the side, and they walk together between the animals and read the terms of the covenant. That's the covenant is, I will treat Abraham promising, I will treat you kindly, and I will treat your descendants and descendants kindly as you treated me. So all that is just a normal story. Until we come to Abraham rebuking Abimelech about a well that they seized, his servants seized. So that well, Abraham is the one who dug the well for the purpose of, the need of water for his livestock. Abimelech said, I didn't know about this, and they are in agreement. So obviously Abraham takes possession of the well, and he gave them these 7 ewe lambs. I hope I'm pronouncing this word right, EWE. As a witness that I dug this well. So few things caught my attention in this passage. The place is Beersheba, where Hagar and Ishmael was wandering, and the place where Abraham and Abimelech met and made this covenant. Actually, they named that place Beersheba at the time of the covenant. And when Abimelech came to Abraham, in verse 22 it says, and it came to pass at that time. So at that time, the previous event was Hagar in the wilderness wandering. So at the same time, when Hagar and Ishmael was kicked out and wandering in the wilderness, Abraham and Abimelech met at Beersheba, have the covenant. They called the name Beersheba. They left. She's wandering, she ran out of water, and she's in the same location. The third thing that caught my attention is a well. So, is it the same well? And the fourth thing that caught my attention is the shrub and the tamarisk tree that Abraham planted. So obviously when he planted a tree, he planted a young tree. Speculations. Could it be the same well and the same young tree that was called shrub that Hagar put Ishmael under? She wandered in the wilderness probably a few days. before the water run out. Skin of water can hold quite a bit of water. Could Abraham have saved his son's life without even knowing it by reclaiming the well and planting the young tree and leave, and then she comes, put her son under that? Could it be the same tree? It's a possibility, and it is a speculation. But all these things caught my attention. The story is listed right after the event, what happened with Hagar and Ishmael. It's placed in a way that in my opinion, implies the same location, the need for a well, saving the well, claiming the well back from Abimelech's servants, planting the tree and calling on the name of the Lord, and then he's gone from the area, and by doing so he saved his son's life. It's a speculation, but a very well possible to happen, to be that what happened. So we're going to come to the significance of that speculation after we go back and look at the event, what happened with Ishmael. So I'm going to go back to that passage and just go over it and see what happened. So here she's wandering in the wilderness. Why did she wander in the wilderness? Because obviously she had no place to go, and this is the environment around them. So when verse 14, when it says in the wilderness of Beersheba, so the name was not, the place was not named at that point, but when it was written by Moses, it was named. So she's wandering in the wilderness. There is no location here to be identified, but Moses identified the location because it was the same location when Abraham and Abimelech met. Beersheba means well, and seven, the word well and the word seven together. It has other meanings as well, but that's the meaning. Even in Arabic, that's the meaning of it. And so the reason it's named this way, because of the 7 ewe lambs that Abraham set aside, and he told him, you take these from my hands as a witness that I dug this well. So well of 7, or the well of 7, or what, so that is the name Beersheba come from. So they named the area Beersheba because of the covenant between Abraham and Abimelech. And so when she wandered in the area, for her that was not named this way. She just was like, she didn't know where to go. But it was a divine guidance to bring her to that place where the well was already, maybe a day before, recovered from the hands of Abimelech's servants to the possession of Abraham's to water his livestock. And it could be a very divine guidance. So she put her son under the shrub, that young tree that Abraham just planted. I have pictures of that kind of tree. I got those pictures online. Tamarisk tree. Not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but these are how they look. So when it's young, it could be like a shrub. So all that is possibilities. So God is saving Ishmael. Ishmael's name means God who hears, or God hears. Ishmael obviously prayed because when God's voice came to Hagar, I heard the voice of the lad. So probably Ishmael was dying and he prayed. That's the implication. So God is saving his life through the work of his father to recover the well and plant the shrub. And God opened her eyes. She saw the well. She refilled her skin and gave her son a drink. Now it says, so God was with the lad and he grew up, and that's the rest of his life. So I want to mention one thing here. Ishmael descendants are the Arabs. So let's not put the sin of the Arabs as an oppressor of the nation of Israel on Ishmael. That's his descendants, but let's not look at Ishmael with a bad or looking down or whatever view you have for Ishmael because of his descendants, because God was with him and made him a great nation. This great nation went away astray from the Lord. That's a different thing, and that's on the descendants, not on Ishmael. But what is the significance of that speculations that the saving of the rejected son is by the father of faith, by the work of the faith, or the result of the faith, and that the work of the flesh, the rejection of Ishmael and send him away because he's the fruit or the result of the work of the flesh, as Hebrews spoke of Hagar as a symbolic of the work of the flesh. And Isaac was a symbolic of the result of the promise. So in another way that also the descendant of Isaac will become the nation of Israel, and the descendant of Ishmael are Gentiles. And the saving of the Gentiles through the faith that bring the promise. Abraham, the father of faith, Isaac, the promise that will bring the Messiah, and the saving of the life of Ishmael represent the saving of the Gentiles through faith. That's my observation of this passage. And I could be wrong, but as a devotion, I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see that it makes any doctrine issue with the evangelical belief, but it does give a big beautiful picture to look at how God orchestrated this event, as well as He orchestrated the rejection of the work of the flesh for the event of sending Hagar and Ishmael away. He also orchestrated the saving of the Gentiles, the saving of the sinners, because He represents the result of the work of the flesh, which is sin. Not Him personally sinning, we're all sinners, even Abraham, but this is a symbolic representation of the work of the flesh, or the result of the work of the flesh that would be saved through faith in the promise. And God orchestrated the event between Abraham and Abimelech to go to this location to prepare for the saving of Ishmael. We have to understand there is nothing in the scripture is coincidence, and nothing happened throughout the history of the humankind is a coincidence, because the sovereignty of God worked over the whole thing. We saw in the last episode how God orchestrated these conflicts to glorify His name. And now He's orchestrating these other events to save Ishmael. Why Abimelech will come to Abraham during that time? At that time, while Hagar is wandering in the wilderness, he come and they meet at that location, Beersheba. At that location, they name it Beersheba. They make the covenant. He plant the tree. The well is ready. She comes. She find the shrub, and she find the well. She give her son a drink, and God will be with the lad, and he will be an archer and all that. So that's my observation of this passage. Now I want to go back and touch on what happened with Hagar and the event when God is speaking to her. So let's go back to this passage. Verse 17, and God heard the voice of the lad. Then the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven and said to her, what ails you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad and hold him with your hand, for I would make him a great nation. So Hagar, her first encounter with Jesus is appearing when she ran from Sarah and Sarah's harsh treatment, and he appeared to her. He told her to listen, to submit, and go back and submit under Sarah. And she said, have I met the God who sees? The God who sees. So she realized the God who sees. And here, the God who hears. So God sees our reflection and hears our cry and come to save us. And then God opened her eyes and she saw a well. And she filled the skin and gave her the... I want you to imagine, put yourself in her position. So let's read verse 16. Then she went and sat down across from him, Ishmael, at a distance of about a bow shot. For she said to herself, let me not see the death of the boy. So she sat opposite him and lifted her voice and wept. This shows how desperate, how devastated, how a mother losing her son and cannot help it. And all this is a very desperate situation, and you cannot help your son. And God saw that, and God spoke to her, opened her eyes, but he already had orchestrated the whole thing in advance. The well was there already, and there was probably other shrubs or other trees. I'm just making a speculation that she put him under the same tree that Abraham planted. But think about it this way. If that was the case, which is possibilities, that God already in advance orchestrated the conflict that resulted for her to be kicked out, so she would come to that desperate situation. And while she was wondering, he orchestrated the event to prepare the salvation of her son. And when she came to this place, God spoke to her and opened her eyes, and her son was saved. So look at your problems. I look at my problems. When things fall apart, they say it's falling into place. when things fall apart and problems are out of control and you lose hope of repairing situation or whatever happening as life happened, it's from the beginning orchestrated by God to bring us to a place He wants us to be, and He already orchestrated the other events that preparing for that desperate situation we're in to be resolved or saved or repaired, whatever situation. It gives us some understanding of how God works in our lives to bring our faith in Him to a different level by orchestrating the problem, orchestrating the solution, and bringing us from point 1 to point B, and we end up to be stronger in Him, stronger in our faith, stronger of viewing His sovereignty of doing all that. And that's to change us, to make us more like Jesus. Thank you for watching again. See you next time, and God bless you.